a lovely day. Late morning on the 18th of March and getting annoyingly and increasingly breezy. But there are newcomers in town and you may well be able to hear them. That familiar chiff chaff, chiff chaff, chiff chaff song of a bird, not surprisingly called the chiff chaff. And there are at least 3, possibly 4 males freshly arrived in the last day or so here. There's one just in the top of the trees to my left, and one singing from the top of the trees to my right, and then there's at least one slightly nearer the road. The first chiff chaff arrived here 4 days ago on the 14th, and it was in this spot here. It may well be the same bird, but they do tend to move through, the first birds that turn up. But this is perfect chiff chaff habitat. Chiff chaff's not spectacular. It's one of those birds, a number of warblers that are lumped together by bird watchers as little brown jobs, and that pretty much describes what they are. They're nothing spectacular to look at, but it's the song, when they decide to sing again, that really heralds the start of spring for many. Bang on cue. Well, actually what I'm here for is that. After some early butterflies and that male brimstone that you saw fly across the screen and poorly followed by me, oh, there's 2. I was going to say that it's doing a circuit, but there is another one which may appear somewhere in the back there. No, it's there, look. And that's the second one. 2 male brimstones. It's a lovely day today. This is the first day that butterflies will be out, and that's what I've come here to try and film. Maybe we might get a better flight shot of a brimstone, but they don't settle a great deal. Well, I've just seen one nymphallid butterfly. That's come up and gone over the trees. Didn't get a chance to identify it, but could have been peacock, could have been red admiral. Lost the brimstones. The brimstones were specific to that first section of track that's coming off Peaford Lane. I thought one might come past me, might still yet as I'm stood here speaking. But plenty of chiff chaffs are in now. There's another 1 or 2 just over to my right and to your left, but I'm heading that way towards the Black Pool and then I'm going to do a large circuit around. I've checked some Coltsfoot that's in flower, and that was free of butterflies. So we'll continue our walk. It's not the worst of days for it, is it? Now here's a very impressive early flying tachinid fly. This is Tachina ursina, or ursina, depending on how you pronounce your scientific names, but this is as pristine Tachina ursina as you could ever get. And this will be its first flight. It's quite sort of drowsy appearing, quite slow in flight, but it has allowed for a bit of an approach. The camera is only 6 inches away from this one, and I don't want to push my luck, but in Nottinghamshire this is certainly a species that you'll encounter in the more forested areas. Certainly it's regular throughout the Sherwood Forest area, here at Clipston Old Quarter and Sherwood Forest Country Park and Budby South Forest. They're usually very lively, but they appear very much like a very fresh Aristolis hoverfly, but this is a real chunky monkey of a fly, and not particularly widespread. It's more widespread now, however, now that it's zoomed off. Nicely sheltered from that annoying breeze here, and I've camped at the side of this area of Coltsfoot. It's the only area of Coltsfoot along this entire ride, and this is the ride that goes from Clipsnell Quarter through to the Black Pool, which is just over there. The most likely place to see any nectaring butterflies fresh out of hibernation is at such an oasis of nectar as this Coltsfoot. Although we may get brimstone, but I don't like to see brimstones at yellow flowers. It's just a thing of mine. They don't photograph well on yellow flowers, they don't look the best. I like my brimstones at pink campion. Same as orange tips. They never look good at yellow flowers. But I'm hoping to see two species in particular, really, small tortoiseshell and peacock. Two very common butterflies. Although small tortoiseshell is at the moment in very much of a decline, and it's a decline which is worrying naturalists. Big decline in southern England, but a few, according to Facebook, turned up in Nottinghamshire yesterday. I didn't, unfortunately, but hopefully we can come across small tortoiseshell on our way around Clipsnell Quarter here. Well, I've gone about 30 yards from where I was just sat, camped against the Coltsfoot there, and on the right, as you look at it now of this track, there was a basking peacock butterfly. I was hopeful of getting some footage, but it's very promptly got up, gained height, and gone over the silver birches on your right. But I will hang around here, may well just come back down and nectar at that Coltsfoot. Nice to see. First peacock of the year though, obviously fresh out of hibernation, probably one of the old oaks here. We have a comma. Well, no chance of getting any footage, or not the kind of footage I'd like of that comma. Soon off and up. Seems to be what most of the butterflies are doing now. It's 10 past 12, so they've obviously been out for about an hour and have warmed up. They're now ready to fly and go looking for nectar. But there is another brimstone knocking around in this area here. I'm now up by almost the side of the Black Pool. I'm going to continue working my way around and then come along the top path. Hopefully we can find a butterfly that doesn't mind a camera being shoved in its face. But one thing I need to look out for, and you can start and look out for this species now, is the orange underwing moth, which will start to emerge anytime now through the rest of March and be in flight through certainly the first half of April. You can sometimes disturb it from puddles on pathways or where the ground is damp on pathways, but generally if it's around about midday and early afternoon, it appears as like a small, almost tortoiseshell like butterfly, but with a fluttering flight similar to male vapour moths. And they usually fly at about 15 to 20 feet, usually around the tops of birches. However, later in the day they tend to fly lower down, and so you can often come across them in that way later in the afternoon. But it's a beautiful moth, very common here at Sherwood Forest and fairly widespread in Nottinghamshire, but without a doubt its stronghold is in the Sherwood Forest areas of Nottingham, and it's obviously day flying, so it's one to look out for. You may well have just caught a brief glimpse of a brimstone which suddenly came into view, because this wasn't the shot that I was going to do at this point. It was this. I was just going to stand here and do a little piece to camera, as we say in the trade. Then all of a sudden, while I was switching the camera on, out pops this brimstone. That's 4, all males that I've seen. But I've not seen any more butterflies at all since that comma and the brimstone down near the black pool. It doesn't seem 5 minutes since I was stood here gazing at the tops of these sweet chestnuts and pines and oaks, looking for purple emperors. And no doubt, when I'm back here doing the same thing again in July, I'll be saying it doesn't seem 5 minutes since I was looking for purple emperors here last year. It just goes by so quickly. But it's lovely to be in the throes of another spring. I've found a comma, or rather flushed it off the path up near the centre tree at the moment. Beautiful butterflies, commas, that rich fulvous orangey brown, the various size spots and different shapes on the wings, those sort of lighter brown borders and edging to those scalloped wings. It's our only butterfly that looks like this and has those scalloped edges to the wings. Almost makes it look tattered, but it isn't. This is a very clean individual. Then on the leading edge to the forewings, we've got those typical sort of tortoiseshell black triangles. Small tortoiseshells have them, and so does large tortoiseshell, and I've heard of comma being mistaken for large tortoiseshell. In the meantime, comma is now a very common butterfly. I remember in the 60s it's starting to make a comeback. I wasn't heavily into butterflies and I was aware of them, and I was aware of how the range of the comma became severely restricted. I think it went back down to largely around the Wyre Valley. And then over the next few decades, through the 70s and 80s, it increased its range again and is now very common. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. Well, back down near the car, I've just found the first small tortoiseshell of the day and of the year. I was beginning to think I'd have come home without seeing one. Their numbers have declined greatly, and I intend to do a bit of a video on the decline of small tortoiseshell. I only think this decline is temporary. It's occurred before over the years. All species go through peaks and troughs of populations of abundance, and I think that this year may see slightly higher numbers of small tortoiseshells than last year. I never saw many at all last year, and my own counts of records match those from across Nottinghamshire. But that's for another video, hopefully. But the butterflies I've seen today, 4 brimstones, all males, 2 commas, 2 peacocks and a small tortoiseshell. I couldn't film any of them. Well, not footage that I like, put it this way, but at least the butterfly season has really got off the mark today. I'm getting thirsty and I'm in need of sustenance on this beautiful spring day.